Every time I looked at an Apple device, I started seeing the warning hidden beneath the shine. I never realized how dangerous everyday tech could become until I began digging into what sits in our pockets, on our wrists, and inside our homes. The deeper I went, the more unsettling it became. These devices collect more about you than your closest friends, and most people never even notice it happening. Main part. The first shock hit me when I started analyzing the behavior of the iPhone. It is marketed as the safest phone in the world, a device that protects your privacy and locks out intruders. But once you peel back the glossy marketing, you find something darker. You discover that the iPhone does not simply store your data. It observes you, learns from you, predicts you. It tracks your app activity, your location trails, your daily habits, your screen time patterns, and even how often you unlock your device. Every touch, every scroll, every swipe is absorbed into a giant behavioral data set. And then you add Siri. You whisper one command, and your voice goes straight into Apple's servers. Apple was caught before in a scandal where contractors were listening to real user voice clips, not hackers, not foreign agents. Contractors hired to improve Siri. They were hearing private conversations, medical details, arguments, background noises, and everything else that slipped through the microphone. All because the iPhone sometimes activates accidentally. A simple "Hey Siri" misfire was enough to send audio straight into a system you never agreed to be part of. It frightened me how normal this had become. The iPhone has multiple always-on sensors, from accelerometers to gyroscopes to proximity detectors. These sensors run even when the phone appears idle. Add forced iCloud backups, automatic analytics sharing, and location services that never fully turn off unless you dig through layers of settings. And you start to realize something. The most dangerous device in your life is the one you carry everywhere. The thing that sleeps next to your pillow, the thing you hold close to your face. This single object knows more about you than any human being ever will. Just when I thought the worst was over, another Apple product changed the way I looked at everyday privacy. I used to think AirPods were harmless earbuds, lightweight, stylish, and convenient, but people forget something crucial. AirPods depend completely on Bluetooth and constant proximity scanning. They are always searching, always broadcasting, always maintaining a channel to your iPhone. Every time you open the case, sensors activate instantly. The connection forms before you even slide them into your ears. And with Siri built in, the microphones remain on standby for voice triggers. AirPods feed identifiers, usage habits, location patterns, and behavioral metadata into the same ecosystem that already knows your search history, your messages, and your physical routine. A pair of earbuds becomes a direct audio gateway into your digital identity. I remembered reading a 2023 wireless security analysis warning that Bluetooth trackers and wireless earbuds can be intercepted or spoofed in crowded places. Not because the technology is weak, but because it was never designed to handle large-scale exploitation. When I combined that with how tightly AirPods are linked to Apple accounts, payments, personal messages, and device identifiers, the picture became unsettling. People think they are buying headphones. They do not realize they are wearing microphones with a live connection to their identity. But then came the device that made me genuinely uncomfortable, the Apple Watch. If the iPhone knows your digital life, the watch knows your physical one. It tracks your heartbeat, your sleep patterns, your breathing rate, your step rhythm, your stress spikes, your fall detection, your menstrual cycle, and your physical movement. It logs your calories, your workouts, your recovery time, and your irregular heartbeat episodes. It builds a map of your body over time and syncs all of this into iCloud and HealthKit, where your biometric history becomes part of the Apple data universe. No fitness tracker in the world collects as much sensitive information as the Apple Watch. Privacy experts have warned that this level of biometric logging can predict your habits, your emotional state, and your lifestyle choices with disturbing accuracy. One research team demonstrated how simple movement data can be reverse engineered to identify people in a crowd. A piece of footage showing how you walk is enough to trace you, and the Apple Watch captures that pattern every time you raise your wrist, Every time I looked at the sensor cluster on the back of the watch, I realized what it truly was. Not a health gadget, not a lifestyle accessory. It is a silent observer of your body, your sleep, your heart, and your routines. And for millions of users, this device is strapped permanently to their wrist, watching them without pause. Then I reached the product that finally made the danger unmistakable: the HomePod. A speaker that sits inside your living room, your bedroom, or your kitchen. A device that listens for activation phrases by continuously scanning the audio environment. A microphone placed directly inside your home. The worst part is that the scandal already happened. Apple contractors were caught listening to Siri recordings, including HomePod audio captured accidentally. They heard arguments, medical details, personal moments, and private conversations. Not because the user said, "Hey Siri," clearly, but because the microphone misheard a trigger. Wake word misfires happen more often than people think. One misinterpretation in your conversation enters a system far beyond your walls. When you pair a HomePod with your Apple ID, you connect your home environment with your personal identity, your voice patterns, your interactions, your audio surroundings all become part of the same ecosystem that already contains your heart rate, your location history, and your behavioral data. That is when I realized something disturbing. Apple is not hiding what their devices do. They list the features openly. They tell you about health tracking, location services, Siri processing, and smart home listening. What they do not tell you is how these features stack together in one closed ecosystem that knows your digital life, your physical life, and your home life at the same time. The danger is not one device. It is the combination. And once I saw the full picture, the one question haunted me. How much does a company need to know about a person before it becomes too much? Because right now, these devices know everything. I used to believe the safest place for my work was inside my laptop. That feeling disappeared the moment I examined what a MacBook was actually doing behind the scenes. People look at a MacBook and see a sleek aluminum shell. I look at it and see a machine that logs your digital life the moment it powers on. Most users do not realize that macOS silently pushes data to iCloud by default. Passwords, photos, Safari history, open tabs, calendars, messages, app data. If you do not manually turn everything off, your Mac becomes a direct pipeline to Apple's servers. The first time I saw my Safari history show up on another Apple device, I stopped for a second because I realized I had not agreed to that transfer. Not explicitly, it was just assumed. The deeper I dug, the more I found. Gatekeeper, a system Apple advertises as a security guardian, once pinged Apple servers every time you opened an app. That meant each launch left a digital timestamp pointing straight back to you. A scandal erupted when people discovered that macOS was sending out app launch logs in real time. Not your files, but a full record of what you were doing. There is something disturbing about a computer that reports your behavior, even when the company claims it is for your safety. Then came Spotlight. In older macOS versions, Spotlight sent search queries to Apple by default. Think about what that means. Every document you looked for, every app you typed, every local search you performed was being transmitted. You were searching your computer, but your computer was reporting the search. That was the moment I understood that a MacBook is not just a machine. It is a recorder of habits, a diary that syncs itself with a corporation. People praise File Vault and encryption. I used to as well. It is strong, but the key handling still ties your identity back to iCloud if you choose recovery options. Safari's autofill stores your names, emails, card info, and addresses inside a system that syncs across devices. Even your Wi-Fi networks and their identifiers quietly travel through Apple's ecosystem. When you take a step back, you realize something simple. A MacBook does not just run your software, it collects your environment. If you're still watching, hit subscribe and like because the next device exposes even more. But the real problem does not live inside one device. It lives inside the cloud that all Apple devices secretly orbit around. iCloud. The silent vacuum that absorbs everything unless you fight it. Photos, contacts, messages, notes, health backups, call logs. Apple claims encryption and safety, but the truth is more complicated. iCloud backups are accessible to law enforcement with proper authority. Apple admits this. They have handed over iCloud data in countless investigations because the law demands it. That means if anything reaches iCloud, you cannot claim it is fully yours. It belongs partially to the system that stores it. I have seen iCloud photo breaches happen through phishing attacks or weak recovery settings. Not because Apple's servers were hacked, but because the system is designed to centralize your digital life. A single compromised password can expose everything. WhatsApp backups on iPhones depend on iCloud. Photos sync automatically unless you disable them. Device backups push themselves into cloud storage even when you think you turned everything off. iCloud turns one compromised device into a full ecosystem collapse. Then I reached the device that terrified me the most, AirTag. Apple marketed it as a simple tracker for keys, wallets, and bags. But within months of release, police stations across the world started reporting stalking cases. Lawsuits appeared. Women found AirTags hidden in their cars, bags, and coat pockets. Security researchers showed how easy it was to modify an AirTag by removing the speaker so the device stayed silent. It became the perfect stalking tool because of the thing that makes it so powerful: the Find My network. People forget what the Find My network actually is. It is a global mesh of millions of iPhones acting as passive scanners for nearby AirTags. That means every iPhone around you becomes part of the tracking system. Every person walking by unknowingly helps someone else track an AirTag. Apple designed it to be convenient. They accidentally created a surveillance grid that follows people anywhere in the world. You could be tracked even if you never touched an Apple device in your life. I remember thinking to myself that the only thing more dangerous than a tracker is a tracker powered by an entire country. By the time I finished investigating AirTags, I realized something unsettling. Apple created the world's largest crowdsourced tracking network without the world truly understanding what they were signing up for. But the final piece of the puzzle is the one that reveals the real danger. People talk about Apple devices as if they exist separately. An iPhone here, a MacBook there, AirPods, Apple Watch, HomePod, AirTag. They think these devices are independent tools for different tasks. Once I followed the data trail, I understood the truth. It is never about one device. It is about the ecosystem, the cage wrapped in polished aluminum. The moment you enter the Apple world, the ecosystem begins to pull you in. iMessage locks your chats behind blue bubbles. FaceTime traps your video calls. iCloud stores your memories. AirDrop becomes the default file transfer. AirPods only reveal their full features inside Apple settings. Apple Watch only works when paired with an iPhone. Everything Apple builds is designed to make leaving difficult. Not because the devices are superior, but because the connections become addictive. I have tried switching people away from Apple. It is astonishing how fast they realize what Apple has hidden behind convenience. You cannot move your photos easily. You cannot back up your messages normally. You cannot transfer your data without a full Apple export. Subscriptions cost more because Apple takes a 30% cut from in-app purchases. That is why YouTube Premium is higher on iPhone. That is why many apps cost more on iOS. You pay more simply because Apple wants its tax. Apple calls it the ecosystem. I call it the cage. A system where your files, your photos, your audio, your biometric history, your locations, your search habits, your browsing patterns, and even your physical movements travel through a single company that does not let go easily. The danger is not that Apple devices collect data. All tech companies collect data. The danger is that Apple devices collect all of it and keep you trapped long enough that you stop noticing. The scariest moment in my investigation came when I looked at the combined profile. The iPhone knows your voice, the AirPods know your surroundings, the Apple Watch knows your heart, the MacBook knows your habits, the HomePod knows your home, the AirTag knows your location, and iCloud binds them together. That is when I realized something simple and terrifying. Apple did not just build devices, they built the most complete digital shadow a company has ever created. And once you step inside that shadow, it follows you everywhere.